Hello, I am Dustin Miller, PolyInnovator. Today I wanted to talk about the person who made my jingles. So whenever you listen to a podcast or watch something on PolyInnovator, you are going to most likely hear the little few second clip or the reverse clip or even at the end of the video, maybe the long form clip. And the reason why there's so many is that when it comes to something like an audio logo, you really want it to be like snappy, like, oh, Gary Vee's little checkmark swoosh sound takes like 2 seconds, 3 seconds to really play. And that's something that I want to have too. I was thinking, like, how can I do this? How can I do this? And I ended up taking the original short clip, because he made me two clips actually. He made me a longer one and a shorter one. And I took that shorter one and made it even shorter, essentially, just like ta-dung. But it's unique, and I like it, and I wanted to talk about it. And I also wanted to shout out Lemonetric for helping me out. So, roll the intro.
Dustin Miller, PolyInnovator.
Hello, I am Dustin Miller, PolyInnovator. My mission is to innovate many fields over the course of my life, and my ambition is to help others with their multidisciplinary life as well. If you're watching on PolyInnovator or listening on the Polycast, you come to the right place for success. So, why is it important to have a unique sound? Now, when you have a logo, you see the McDonald's logo, you know exactly what it is, you can see it. The visual colors will attract the eye, just like red or yellow. It's the very visual colors. It's why I picked red for PolyInnovator in the first place, is because it's very attractive to the eye. It's also kind of a powerful color as well. And so I wanted to have something that was identifiable. People can see my PolyInnovator red. I don't even know exactly how I found the hex code for PolyInnovator at this point. I think the story's lost to me, but I picked the colors very specifically and very powerfully, I would say. Like, it was like, okay, this hit me right in the right spot. Same with the grayish background that I use everywhere. I use two different colors now because I was like, I realized I really need a darker version. But then the gold kind of came about because gold had this, I don't know, this almost regal aspect, and also it was a great complement to the red. Eventually, when it came to phase two, I was like, okay, I want to start doing more swimming content, and so I need more of a blue. And I don't necessarily want red and blue because I don't want to be Superman. But I also looked at, like, what is the complementary opposite color, the contrasting color of my red, and it turned out to be teal, and that really perfectly matched what my theme was anyways. So I ended up going with that. So the colors are obviously very potent, they're intentional. Audio is that way too, but most people don't think of it like that. Like, whenever you hear a commercial, oftentimes there's like this some kind of jingle in the background, like Old Spice, and you recognize that whistle every single time you hear an Old Spice commercial. That is an audio logo. And so I wanted to create something like that. I also wanted to have a jingle just to put behind all the video bolt clips I was making too, so that way I could have my own repetitive audio experience. And the thing is, the clip he had made me ended up being a little too long, so I asked him to make it shorter. And then at one point, when I was messing with the polycast, I think I just reversed the short form jingle, and for some reason it sounded really like technological and that kind of thing. I was like, oh, I like this, especially since the clip I was using was very techy. And so I ended up using that for the polycast for a few seasons. I don't know if I switched back or not. I'm actually going to be revamping how I'm using all these audio logos here soon. I started moving things around, like, okay, I need to like change how I'm using this stuff, and because I wanted to make it more consistent. I think at this point I've kind of just been willy-nilly about which clip I use and whether or not I use my audio logo, when in actuality I really need to do it at the beginning each time, so that way the whole repetitive process actually really comes into play. So the reason why I have it, like I said, is to make that repetitive situation. But why is it important? Like, why do you want to do it? What is an audio logo even, actually, too? And I should go into that. It's about having something identifiable. It is about having a single piece of the content the same each time. So every time you go into a video or listening in on the podcast and have this experience with me, you'll know, okay, this is what I can expect because I can hear that logo at the very beginning. Gary Vee does it all the time in his videos. He has a little checkmark swoosh. It's something that just really hits you, like, okay, cool, this is Gary Vee. Like, you don't have to even be watching, you could be listening and like, okay, I can relax. I don't have to know that it's going to be good because I know it's Gary Vee. Now, that's my preference, but same thing with my content as well. And I create my content to help other people. So the intention's there. So at least you know that, like, I'm not creating content just for the sake of getting attention or something like that, which, I mean, maybe I will eventually, but it's generally for a good reason too behind that. So I took a page, let's see, actually, so back to like how I intend to using it, it's not just about having the same audio every single time, because I have the reverse, I have the short form, I have the long form, and now I have the like 3-second audio clip. So I basically have like 4 different versions. And they all sound similar, and I want to use all of them actually, just depending on which content I use. And so I took a page from Chopcast where I wanted to create episodic content. What you're watching right now is an omnicontent. What you're listening to right now is the omnicontent polycast. And that's just the audio version of this particular sprint. Because I wanted to say episode, right? I always have a hard time saying, do I want sprint or episode? And this is important. I know it seems like I'm going on a tangent, but it's important. The omnicontent was made so that I could make an episodic series that you could repeatedly see, like, okay, cool, this is something that I've watched before, maybe I could watch it again. But since it wasn't serialized, you didn't necessarily have to worry about missing an episode if you did. And so this week is about Lemon-Metric. Next week it might be about Ikigai. I don't actually know which one it was. I haven't looked in the future yet. Probably modular degree, actually, now that I think about it. But the thing is, every episode follows the same format: the why, how, what, blog post, video, polycast, and boom. So I wanted to have an identifiable trigger at the beginning of the video or polycast saying like, hey, this is what this is. This is an omni-content episode. This is what you can expect. You can expect it to be a certain length. You can expect it to be a certain quality. And the thing is, and for those listening in, I just gave a thumbs up with a big smile. And so regardless of which one I use, regardless of how long these episodes end up being, at least at the very beginning, you'll be able to hear that little check mark. Now, I want to actually go into listening to some of these actually while I'm at it. I almost forgot. All right, so I'm going to share with you the clips that I wanted to share in the other clip. I decided, just in case this audio messes up, I wanted to make sure I have it separated. So here is the original clip so that you can see, so you can hear what it sounded like originally. So I ended up having to mess around with the mic, so hopefully this sounds better too. But whenever it came down to the actual clip length, I didn't actually like how the jingle was too long, because I couldn't put that in the beginning of a video before people would just dip out. They're like, okay, whatever. So 30 seconds was not really quite right. I was like, okay, can you make a shorter version of it? And luckily he was gracious enough to do it. And so here's kind of what it was. Nice quick and ends right there in the middle. Here's the medium. Add a little bit of piano to that one, which I thought was pretty cool. All right, let's start off with this one. So that's like the very short version of it. And so I took, I think, the medium one and maybe reversed that one too, and created this polycast intro.
Dustin Miller, PolyInnovator.
So I have a lot of these random logos I put together, so please don't cringe too much at the random. Actually, I made a new one that I'm hoping to maybe use here soon, and I played around with the reverse, and I think I might have put it back to normal, but I ended up doing a Paul stretch, as it was called. So this one's interesting. Bit of reverb in there too.
Dustin Miller, PolyInnovator.
And then I added the other reversed. I don't know why I like that so much. But yes, that's what they all basically sound like at this point. And let's switch back to the regular view. And so this whole process of creating an audio logo was an experiment, right? Most creators aren't doing it. If you watch some of the bigger creators, like Linus Tech Tips has a certain audio they use for every single intro of their videos, right? But they don't use it for every single channel. They don't use it for every single series. They just use it for their main shows. And so that's one of the things where they might also have a team behind it too. Since I don't have a team, I have to be a little bit more creative about it. But the actual process of creating these different audio clips is pretty fun. I got to experiment with the pulse stretch and the reverb and that kind of thing. And now that I have different ones I can use, I'm almost going to go in there and be like, okay, this is one for PolyCast, this is one for PolyInnovator. Although, if I make it omnicontent, that might also be different too. So like, okay, the omnicontent is going to have the same one, but then the Fireside Micro Polycast will have a different one too. I think it uses the short one since it's already a short form video. And it's just on the topic of sound and audio, something I'm going to announce because I haven't talked about it really publicly. In my Fireside Polycast, Micro Polycast, I've never actually had any fire in the background except for the latest one that I released where I ended up putting a fireplace audio that was CC0 commercial free in the background. And I really think it adds to the atmosphere of it because it's the whole point is having like a fireside chat. It's literally what I was just talking about. And I don't know, you're seeing me smile. Like, I just freaking love it. It's awesome. So beyond that, I encourage you to keep checking out the citrusy jingle and go check out Lemonetric. I have the links in the description. Please go give them some love. And they have really awesome stuff every week. And then on top of that, they're releasing a new album hopefully in the next year or so. All right. Thanks. Bye.